Will your sons automatically be registered for the military draft because of a new bill passed by the House? And what about your daughters? Right now, the answer is no. But there's a large part of this story that a lot of people are missing. Your 18 to 25-year-old sons are already required by federal law to register for the draft or face a felony or fine up to $250,000. That's been the law since the early 1900s. Now, it is true that last week the House did pass a bill about a new draft requirement for men, which I'm going to explain to you in just a second, as well as what's happening with young women. But first, let me be extremely clear. There is no draft for anyone. It's not happening. We haven't had a military draft in the United States in 50 years. And the only way there would be another draft is if both the House and the Senate pass a bill establishing a draft and the president signs it into law. Now, as I said, the requirement for young men between the ages of 18 and 25 for what is called selective service, the draft, has been around forever. It's not new. But in the House's new version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which passed largely with Republican votes, they updated the selective service regulation for all male U.S. citizens who are at least 18 years old but not yet 26. This House version simply makes registration for selective service for these Americans automatic, instead of requiring each person to go and physically do it individually. Lawmakers who support this change say it's necessary because oftentimes young men are unaware of the registration requirement, and then that can get them in trouble down the road with the law, so making it automatic removes the problem. The newly passed, nearly $900 billion House NDAA bill also has several other important provisions, including a major pay raise for our military members. It authorizes the development and procurement of new weapons and technology for our military. And it bolsters the Pentagon's role in the U.S. border security. The Democrats largely voted against this bill, mostly because of the several conservative measures that were slipped into it, like a provision that would remove the travel reimbursement for service members who have to travel outside of the state where they're stationed to get reproductive care. Now, this is really important. This House version of the NDAA has not passed the Senate. This is not the law in any way, including the automatic selective service registration requirement. Not the law. And it won't be the law unless the Senate also passes this very same bill and the president signs it into law. And as of today, the Senate has its own version of the NDAA. Right now, the committee draft version in the Senate does not have those contentious conservative priorities included in the House version, but it is more expensive, coming in at a whopping $923 billion. This Senate draft version does include a provision that would require young women to also register for selective service. Take a breath. Now, a couple of things. The Senate has tried this before, and it's been shot down every time. And this is just a committee draft of the bill. It hasn't even been voted on by the Senate, and it will likely be changed or amended before it even comes to the Senate floor for a vote. The bottom line is this. This happens every single year. The House passes a version of the NDAA and the Senate passes its own version of the NDAA. If those bills are different, which is the case this time, as it always is, lawmakers in both chambers go to conference and they work out the differences. And usually those differences include the controversial parts of each bill, and the controversial things usually go away, so a compromise bill can pass both the House and the Senate.